2 weeks from today, the Twins and Orioles will break spring training camp to start the 2015 regular season. They face each other one more time here this afternoon. Beautiful day in Southwest Florida, and the Orioles and Twins meet in Grapefruit League action. And we welcome you to Fort Myers. Dick Bramer along with Bert Blylev, and a lot has changed around the Twins camp over the last couple of years. New managers, some new coaches, and certainly some new players. One thing is the same, though, again this spring. A lot of focus on the Twins center field position, specifically Aaron Hicks.
Yeah, Aaron Hicks for the last 2 years had great spring trainings. This year, earlier in the spring, he was disciplined by new manager Paul Molitor for not knowing the outs. But since that time, he has done a great job out in center field. The young man has so much talent. The Twins want to see that this year.
The Orioles know very well how much impact a young, inexperienced player can have on the roster. 2 years ago, Manny Machado stepped in and instantly became one of the better players in the league. And so far, so good for the Orioles because he's healthy.
Well, you look at that Oriole ball club, the winners of 96 ball games last year, and Machado missing most of the season because of right knee surgery. He had the left knee operated on 2 years ago. They say he's healthy. He's a young man, only 22 years old, going to be a big part of their offense.
So the Twins hope to finish spring training on a high note. So too do the Orioles. They won't face each other in the regular season until July, but they'll face each other this afternoon here in Florida. The third time they faced each other over 5 days. One more spring training meeting, and then, as we said, we won't see the Orioles. The Twins won't until the second week of July, right before the All-Star break. And the Oriole batting order, Manny Machado will lead things off and play third base. Steve Pearce batting second. Adam Jones, Delmon Young, Nolan Reimold. Dario Alvarez, a name to keep in mind for the Orioles and their fans, as he is looking to be a regular player at some point for Baltimore. Jonathan Scope, Caleb Joseph, and Paul JANISH.
And on the mound this afternoon, it will be Tommy Milone, making his third start in the A game. These are the A games. He also pitched last Monday against the minor leaguers here at beautiful Twins complex. He worked 4 innings in that ball game, gave up a home run in the first inning, then settled down nicely and retired the last 11 batters he faced. Milone, not a hard thrower. This will be his first full season in a Twins uniform last year with the Oakland A's.
He probably has earned the inside track for the 5th starter spot as you look at the Twins out in the field. Arcia in left, Dixon center, Hunter in right. Pretty much the opening day lineup, or the hoped-for opening day lineup, with the exception Kurt Suzuki, who's the DH. Pinto getting the job behind the plate today. But Milone has probably emerged as the favorite to win the 5th starter spot. Alex Myers sent down yesterday. He had a hard time throwing strikes. But this is a split squad game for the Twins. They've got another game and another squad of players playing up in Port Charlotte. And Trevor May is starting in that game for the Twins. And it looks like it's going to come down to those two players, or perhaps Mike Pelfrey, too, to win the fifth starter
Yeah,
spot.
we'll talk throughout the ballgame as far as the starters for the Twins. All four other starters are right-handed throwers, so I think Paul Molitor and also Neil Allen would like probably a left-hander in that starting rotation. Milone had a great season last year with the Oakland A's, then had some neck problems, had surgery at the end of the year. They found out that he had a tumor in there. It was benign, but that was a lot of the irritation and the frustration he had the second half of the season.
Here's Manny Machado to lead things off, and he takes strike one on the outside corner. Machado with an assortment of knee issues, first one knee, then the other. And the Orioles are hoping for a full year of service from one of the best young players in the game, Manny Machado.
Yeah, only 22 years old. He'll turn 23 in July, but here's a guy that's already made an all-star team, 2013, a couple of years ago, and then also a Gold Glove at third base, so a very, very important key to the success for the Orioles, even though, again, as I mentioned before, they won 96 ball games last year.
2-1 to Machado. Pierce and Jones will follow here in the first. Chopped foul, 2-2. Milone.
As you watch Milone pitch, what he does, he has to work both sides of the plate. That ball, little cutter on the inside of the plate. Machado hit it foul. He has an outstanding changeup, probably his best pitch. But he said last year what couldn't set up the changeup is he was bothered with that little bit of neck soreness. And there's a great changeup right there, great location. That's what Tommy Malone's all about. Not a strikeout pitcher. Put the ball in play and hopefully on the ground.
One down, and that'll bring up Steve Pearce. As you look at Milone, and if you're watching it from a Twins perspective, it's hard to ignore what he did last year. 6 games, 5 starts, an ERA over 7. Wasn't feeling good at all. A lot of hits, 37 of them in 21 2/3 innings. But Pearce takes strike one. You look at his career numbers, and most of his time spent at the big league level with the A's. He remains, as we wrap up spring training here, up and away 1-1. He is the only Twin starting candidate with a winning major league record, 32-23, and with an ERA of under 4. So as poorly as he pitched for the Twins last year, and granted there were some reasons for that, 2 hopper to Plouffe, and a long throw to Mauer, 2 down. This is a guy who's, on a small scale, proven to be a major league winning pitcher.
Well, we know that the Oakland A's pitching staff is so deep that Milone became expandable, so the Twins did make a trade for Milone when they traded Sam Fold over to Oakland back in late July. And again, even with Oakland, he was pitching well. 6-3 in 16 starts with an ERA at 3.5.
Now, Phil Hughes has a winning career mark, 72-60, but his career ERA is 4.32. And Milone remains the only Twin starting candidate with a sub-4 ERA. Down and in, ball 1 to Adam Jones. Milone with a long look into Pinto. And a long foul. 1-1.
And that's what the Orioles can do. They can put some runs on the board early. Led all the American League last year in home runs by a ball club. Jones a big part of that. Last year hit 29 home runs in 159 games, drove in 96 runs. 4-time All-Star.
Just missed the outside corner with a fastball.
And that's, again, Milone. He will work that corner, and Pinto will move outside, and he'll hopefully expand that strike zone by hitting that glove as the game goes on.
Now a changeup off the plate. Changeup at 79. The fastball was at 89, and that's the top end for Milone. He's not a hard thrower, but talking with Kurt Suzuki, who has caught him both with the Twins and with Oakland, he relies on. And Jones checking with Pinto to make sure he's okay. Jones' bat on his follow-through may have clubbed the catcher.
Adam Jones, this will be his 8th season for the Baltimore Orioles, originally signed by the Mariners back in 2003, their #1 pick out of the San Diego, Southern California area. 4-time Gold Glove winner, too.
15th pitch of the inning. And it's a cutter inside, and Jones fouls it off his front leg. So first the catcher, and now the batter. That's off the back leg.
Right off the, look like the right knee area. I'll try to walk that off.
And while there's a little bit of a break for the batter, Jones, Larry Benessi, one of the trainers for the Twins, coming out to check with Pinto. Again, I didn't see it, but it was apparent based on the reaction that Jones and his follow-through hit Pinto in the back of the head with his bat.
Boy, it's so important you see Pinto with that hard hat on. He does not have that. A lot of catchers used to just do it with their hat, you know, put the mask on, but now most catchers wear that hard hat.
Catcher's okay, the batter's okay. Brian O'Nora, the home plate umpire.
Yeah, Brian O'Nora did a good job right there. I know they're trying to speed up the game, but sometimes you have to say, you know, let's make sure these guys are healthy. Brian O'Nora, the home plate umpire.
Foul the ball off your leg. I think baseball will let you leave the batter's box. Foul back. And Milone having quite a battle here with Adam Jones. Twins have said all the predictable things regarding the starting rotation and Malone's potential spot in it. They want the 5 best starting pitchers, but still within that, you can imagine there'd be a temptation to have at least one left-hander in the rotation. Another 3-2 to Jones. And he just missed. And Milone looks in, thought he might have hit the corner. It's a good battle for Jones, and he'll gingerly walk to first.
Yeah, he took something off this pitch right here. Just a slow breaking ball. Did not miss by much. It looked like Brian O'Nora wanted to raise that right hand, but he kept it down.
And now DeLMon Young. Young getting a chance to play in the outfield for the Orioles. Right field opened up, of course, with Nick Markakis leaving for Atlanta, down and in ball 1.
Yeah, DeLMon in his 2nd season with the Orioles, 10th Major League season overall. With the Rays, of course, 3.5 seasons he wore a Twins uniform. Tigers, Phillies, Rays again, and now in Baltimore.
Big swing and a miss.
Good off-speed pitch there. Orioles like to run a little bit. Adam Jones very good at stealing bases. But Milone very good at holding on runners as a left-handed pitcher.
Driven to left center field and down for a hit. Cut off by Arcia. And he'll fire the ball to second base. It's a single for Young. And Milone, who was so close to having a quick, tidy 1-2-3 inning, now has runners on the corners with 2 down.
I think when we saw DeLMon Young in a Twins uniform, you knew offensively he could hit. It's just defensively, sometimes he is a liability, but DeLMon Young, he can swing the bat.
The designated hitter, Nolan Reimold, will hit with 2 on and 2 out.
Reimold in spring training with the Orioles. Came up with the Orioles back in 2009, spent 5 seasons with them, and then went to the Blue Jays and Diamondbacks, a non-roster player this spring for the Orioles, trying to make the ball club.
Big chopper to Plouffe. And that ends the inning. A 2-out walk and single do no damage, and it's a scoreless top of the first. Marvelous here in Southwest Florida. A lot of sun, some humidity, really no weather interruptions at all. Teams down here have been able to get their work in, and that everyone hopes will be the case for the next 2 weeks as well. Here's the Twins batting order. Danny Santana leading off. Brian Dozier hitting second today. Mauer hitting third. That's still going to be an interesting part of the batting lineup puzzle to see who hits where. Then Hunter, Arcia, Plouffe, Suzuki, Pinto, and Hicks.
And on the mound this afternoon it'll be Miguel Gonzalez making his 4th spring training start. A guy that has to rely on good control. His split finger has been an issue so far here in his first 3 starts. So word is he's going to be throwing a lot of split fingers, but he'll try to get ahead with the fastball. And there's a fastball right there.
Right on the outside. Corner, strike 1. Santana doing okay as a shortstop. Of course, last year he was the principal center fielder. This one slashed to left and down for a hit. Hardly recognized Santana when I first got down here a couple weeks ago because he has filled out. He's more muscular than he was a year ago, and he muscled that ball into the outfield.
You know, I had a chance last night to talk to Rod Carew about Santana. Rod, of course, here for 3 weeks. Actually, he left today to go back to his home in Southern California, but he loves Santana. He loves the way that he just goes about his business. Not a big swing, as you saw right there with that base hit, fastball away, just took it the other way.
Here's Dozier. And outside, ball 1.
Dozier having an outstanding spring so far, hitting .478. He's hit a couple home runs. He's driven in 4 runs. Led the club last year, the Twins, with 23 home runs.
Santana last year, 101 games, just over 400 at bats, and he scored 70 runs. Just under a 100 run scored pace.
And that's why he's leading off. 20 stolen bases last year in 24 attempts. He brings a lot with him in that leadoff spot.
Dozier, just about an everyday player. He played in 156 games. He did score 100 runs. In fact, he scored 112 runs. And therein lies a great source of optimism for Twins fans. You've got a guy in Dozier who already has scored over 100 runs, and a guy, Santana, who's going to be the leadoff man, who with some imagination at all, you can imagine him scoring over 100 runs himself. So this Twins lineup, the organization hopes, is going to be able to score runs and be in the upper third in the league in runs scored.
112 runs scored last year, second the most in the American League behind Mike Trout, who scored 115 times.
2-1 to Dozier, and there goes Santana, and the pitch popped up. It's a foul ball and back into the seats. So Santana took off. Mentioned that this is a split squad game. Paul Molitor, the manager of the Twins, is in Port Charlotte with the other squad. That's a thing that most organizations do. The manager in a split squad situation always goes on the road, most of the time anyway. 2-2 to Dozier. Santana stays put, and the ball popped up over the Baltimore dugout.
Yeah, that looked like that split finger right there from Gonzalez. Not only the fastball and split finger, he mixes in a slider and a slow curveball. In his 4th season with the Orioles, a 10-game winner last year. Missed about 3 weeks last year with a strained right oblique muscle strain.
Well, the Orioles got to the postseason, won the American League East because of great pitching, good defense, the power you mentioned before. But Gonzalez a big part of a really good pitching staff last year. Santana goes, and the pitch hammered towards short. Nice stop by the shortstop, JANISH. And safe at first. Dozier beats out an infield hit. JANISH with a nice backhanded stop with the runner going. He was moving towards second base, had to reverse field to keep that ball in the infield.
Yeah, great play by JANISH right here. Look at him stretched out, diving for it, still able to get up and get something on the hurried throw, but Dozier, with his speed, just beat it out as Pierce stretches out as far as he can.
And now Mauer with 2 on and nobody out. Twins will hope to see this situation many times early in ball games this year, that if Dozier is hitting second, there'll be 2 men aboard for Mauer. One of the focal points for Tom Bernanski this year is to work with Joe, now that the first couple weeks of spring training are over with, and to get him back into the form where he could pull the ball, the inside pitch. Down and away, 1-1. The feeling was that Joe physically was having a hard time last year pulling the ball with first the knee issues that he's had and then the oblique pull, and he never really was himself even when he was in the lineup. Now the target is inside and the pitch is down and in, 2-1.
Well, you think of Joe Mauer, you think of a guy that is a .319 career hitter. He had an off year last year. A lot of things, the injury, moving from behind the plate to first base, learning a lot of different things that have to happen to a first baseman compared to just catching a pitching staff. Where do I go and cut off relays, all that stuff.
2-1.
Showed you Gonzalez right there with that split finger, the grip.
Lifted foul, 2-2. Talking with Tom yesterday about Mauer, he said, you know, we've had to kind of go back to square one and retrain him how to pull the inside pitch. They're encouraged with what they've seen so far. Of course, you know, we're 2 weeks away from the start of the season, but he has worked very hard, and Tom Bernanski thinks he's going to be capable of pulling the inside pitch better than he did at any time last year. Again, the target is inside, and Mauer lines it to center, down for a hit. So 3 singles to start the first inning for the Twins.
And that's Joe Mauer right there. Now, we're not saying when he pulls the ball, you pull it down the left field line, but it's more right field line. It's more the gap type hitter that Joe is. Power to left center, right center. Right there, he got a pitch down, got good wood on it, and lined it right in front of Jones in center field. So good start for the Twins.
There's a saying, of course, that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and that's what's been in evidence here in spring training. Torrey Hunter away from the Twins for 7 years, and he's been embraced by the fans here in Florida, and we know that will be the case at Target Field as well. One of the more popular players that's come through this organization in the last couple decades. Bases loaded, nobody out. Strike one.
Keeps himself in great shape. He'll be 40 years old in the middle of July. This is his 19th season. Came up with the Twins back in 1997.
Out in front of the off-speed pitch and a swing and a miss.
Torrey, an established hitter, of course, a career .280 hitter, 331 home runs. Those are his numbers from last year with the Tigers.
In his 23rd year of professional baseball. In the dirt, 1-2. Still a productive hitter last year. At .286 for the Tigers, 17 home runs, 83 runs batted in. Will enter this season with 1,310 major league runs batted in. Popped up and back into the seats.
Well, Torrey knows what he has with him is a baton. He was given that baton by Kirby Puckett and other people that influenced him throughout his career when he first joined the Twins in the late 90s. Now it's his turn. He's the leader of that outfield. Even though he's in right field, he's kind of the captain out there. And young Players like Hicks and Arcia can learn so much by watching Torrey Hunter on a daily basis.
Chopper to short. Orioles will get 1 and 2. No run batted in for Hunter, even though Santana does cross the plate 1-0.
Yeah, the infield playing back looking for the double play, and Gonzalez able to get that off the bat of Torrey Hunter. A quick feed to Scope at second. Good relay over to Pierce. And the Twins take a 1-0 lead with Santana scoring.
That'll bring up Arcia with Hunter's signing and being moved into the Twins' right field spot. Arcia's had to move over to left field. Arcia working on simply making more regular contact. He has struck out more than once per 3 at-bats.
Yeah, so far here this spring, 22 at-bats. He has struck out 5 times. So that's a better ratio than he has shown so far. Last year of 372 at-bats, he struck out 127 times.
Hit hard into the right field corner and foul. Arcia was in right field most of last year. He said he felt more comfortable there. He didn't play right field like he was comfortable, particularly at Target Field. Target Field's right field is a tricky place to play with the wall and the different levels of compression or material out there in right field, from limestone to padding, high and tight. And while left field, particularly at Target Field, will be a bigger field for him to play, the hope is that it'll be an easier position for him to play. 2-1. And now 3-1.
Very short, compact swing, very strong young man at only 23 years old from Venezuela. 20 home runs last year for the Twins, drove in 57 runs.
Pops straight up in the air, short center field. Jones coming in and fighting the sun. He makes the catch. The Twins get 3 singles and a run in the first. Twins in front as we get ready for the second inning. Fans using fans to try to create a breeze. A fairly still day. Flags hanging limp down the left field line.
Yeah, Twins averaging over 8,000 here per game at this new beautiful ballpark.
Dariel Alvarez will lead off the second for Baltimore. Then Jonathan Scope, Caleb Joseph, and if somebody reaches, Paul Yanish. Orioles have very high hopes for this young man from Cuba. if not this year, in the very near future. They expect him to be a great outfielder for them, a tremendous throwing arm. One 1-0 from Milone. And missing inside, 2-0.
Alvarez, one of these players that defected from Cuba back in 2011, then signed by the Orioles as a free agent.
And at the knees. Sometimes control for a pitcher can be defined in a lot of different ways. The chopper left side, cut off by Plouffe, and it clutches. Still is able to make the play at first. But Plouffe had a hard time getting the ball out of the glove and delivering a throw, but he got it there just in time.
Yeah, good concentration by the umpire there, fielding Colbreth, doing a good job staying with the runner and the ball. See Plouffe reaching out last second, kind of on the run, a quick throw, and a bang play goes the Twins' way.
Been a couple of times here today where Milone first in the Jones at bat in the first inning. He ended up walking him, but I think the count was 3-1, and Milone came in with a fastball at the knees, and Jones, who must have been looking for a fastball, took it because of its location. Same thing here with Alvarez. It was 2-0, and Milone delivered a fastball for a strike, but it was in a good spot. He didn't hang it and have the hitter take a whale at it.
He's got a very nice compact delivery, and that being Tommy Milone. Stays back nicely, makes sure that that arm gets on top, and that helps that changeup. There's a fastball up.
1-2 to Schoop.
That's kind of like the old, brush him back. Now you can go back in again, or maybe a changeup away. We'll see what they decide. Go back inside. And that's one thing that new pitching coach Neil Allen wants these starters to do, is pitch a little bit more aggressive inside when you're ahead in the count. Now go back to what you get an out on, and probably something off speed. There's a changeup that misses low.
3-2.
Another youngster, Jonathan Schoop, just 23 years old in his third season with the Orioles.
Had him 0-2 and lost him to a walk.
That came back with a 3-2 changeup and missed down and away.
Schoop takes a one-out walk. Second walk issued by Milone. Very frustrating walk there, getting ahead of the batter, 0-2. Now Caleb Joseph. The Twins have had a relatively healthy spring training. The Orioles have too, except for Matt Wieters. Wieters trying to come back from Tommy John surgery. He's been shut down because of some tendonitis in his right elbow. Caleb Joseph getting a chance to play here in March, with the potential for him to get a lot more playing time in April. Orioles are hoping, obviously, that Wieters will be okay. He hasn't hit well at all this year when he was playing.
Well, you see the numbers right there. Joseph has some power, 9 home runs, 28 runs batted in.
The right center field, it'll be chased by Hicks, and he gets by him. Will go all the way to the wall. Schoop at second, now on his way to third. He'll be waved around. Dozier's throw to the plate, not in time. It's a double and a run batted in for Caleb Joseph. Well, Hicks might have taken the wrong route there because the ball got by him and went all the way to the wall.
Yeah, just scooted by him right there, got past Hicks, and it's off to the races for Schoop, who kind of hung around second base for a split second to make sure that ball fell through, and then he scores easily. Nice strong throw by Dozier, but Schoop scores to tie the game.
Milone overcame his first walk in the first inning, but the second inning walk has cost him. It's a 1-1 ball game, and now here's Paul JANISH. J.J. Hardy figures to be, if healthy, the regular shortstop again for the Orioles this year.
JANISH has some major league experience. His first season, a non-roster invitee by the Orioles. He has some big league experience with the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves.
And now inside, 1-1. You know, the Orioles a case. The Royals were a case last year where rise to prominence in a championship season. Base hit to center. Joseph to third. He'll be held with Hicks hitting the cutoff man. First and third. Still only one out. But a rise to a postseason berth that really began with improved defense. And then that, of course, is arm in arm with better pitching. You get a look at the base hit here. But the Orioles went about business trying to get back into postseason play by improving their defense. First with J.J. Hardy, Gold Glove winning shortstop. Adam Jones in center. Wieters behind the plate. That strength up the middle that you talked about in the open is really one of the keys to the Orioles' success.
Machado at third base, a Gold Glove winner.
Right.
And that's kind of always been the Orioles' way back in the 60s and early 70s when they had, you know, so many Gold Gloves behind that great pitching staff. Remember Paul Blair and Brooks Robinson, of course, Mark Belanger, Davey Johnson, Boog Powell, Andy Etchebarren.
Here is Machado. Hit a comebacker to Milone his first time up. Cracked foul.
Ken Singleton.
Machado playing like a veteran from the moment he emerged on the major league roster. Been an increased focus in the Twins camp this year on holding runners. Paul Molitor, who was on the coaching staff last year, saw that opponents were able to run freely against the Twins pitching staff. Foul back numbers reflected poorly on the catching staff, but really it all begins with the guy on the mound and his ability to hold the runners.
Yeah, I thought Kurt Suzuki had a great year, not only offensively, defensively handling the staff, but also throwing out runners. And like you said, it's not the catcher. How many throws do we see right on the bag? But because that runner got a great extra couple, 2-3 steps off of that pitcher, Suzuki had no chance.
Well, 2 strikes to Machado and another throw to first. Pinto, the catcher here today, last year didn't catch as much as the Twins imagined a year ago at this time, and one of the reasons was his throwout numbers were very disappointing. Teams were 20 for 20 in stealing bases with Pinto behind the plate.
Yeah, what they're trying to do is work on his footwork a little quicker as far as releasing the ball.
Inside, dribbled foul. Still 2 strikes. Milone threw 21 pitches in the first inning, already 18 here in the second with only 1 out. Breaking ball line to Plouffe, firing across, not in time for a double play. Not a wicked line drive. Really soft off the bat, but right to Plouffe for out number 2.
It's hard for a base runner to see exactly, but Jarvis does a good job at getting back.
And now Steve Pearce. Orioles had a lot of things go right for them last year. And one of the many things that went right was Steve Pearce, who was released in late April last year and within a week re-signed, and he ended up being one of their key players during the regular season. Swing and a miss, 1 strike. Pearce was released and Chris Davis got hurt, and the Orioles re-signed Pearce, and he went on to put together a very big year offensively for the Orioles. A high drive to deep left field.
That's what he can do.
A 3-run home run for Steve Pearce. And the Orioles jump out in front 4-1.
Yeah, Pearce, who was with the Twins one spring training back in 2012, was released by the Twins in spring training, went to the Yankees, then later with the Orioles, and showing off that power he can generate. Looked like a changeup, and he weighted back nicely. Good extension, good strong swing, and it's a 4-1 ball game. Pearce hitting his 4th home run of the spring.
Well, Milone now has faced 11 batters. He's only retired 5 of them. Here's Adam Jones, who drew a 2-out walk last inning. Fouled back. 1 strike. And Pinto may have gotten another bat on the backswing. Follow through him, Adam Jones. It's the 2nd time Jones has hit Pinto with his bat.
Take a look. You see the right there on top of the helmet. 2nd time, as you mentioned, Dick. And Jones has always had that big swing to where he comes through with that bat. As a catcher, what do? Well, you probably have to sit back a little bit further when you're attempting to catch the ball. Joe Vavra out there along with Larry Benisi.
It's been a rough start to the game for Pinto, and he'll stay in the game. Joe Vavra, the acting manager here with Paul Molitor up in Port Charlotte. And Milone delivering to Pinto to make sure that he's able to catch a ball.
Be interesting to see if Pinto does move back a little bit, and Brian O'Nora, the home plate umpire, talking to him. Hey, I can move back if you want to move back, because of that overswing by Jones.
O'Nora engaged in a little conversation with Pinto, and then looking over toward the Twins dugout. Of course, as conscious as people in baseball are of the concussion issue, I think a little concern when a catcher gets hit with the bat twice in the first 2 innings. Bouncer to third. Nice backhanded stop by Plouffe, but then he drops the ball, and Jones will reach.
Well, nice play by Trevor. We'll see how they rule it. He had to go and make a backhanded play down that 3rd baseline, and in the exchange right there, just lost the baseball in his hand.
Now, as Maurer was fielding the throw, Brian O'Nora, the home plate umpire, went over to Joe Vavra. And there's something that's not right with Pinto, because O'Nora signaled to Vavra, who then signaled down to the bullpen. And I think we're going to get a catcher getting warmed up down in the bullpen. And I think there's some concern about Pinto's ability to continue on here today.
And a ruling an infield base hit for Jones.
The batter's Delmon Young. He singled his first time up. So there's activity in the Twins bullpen, but based on what we've seen play out here in the last few minutes, we think it's to warm up a catcher and not a pitcher. Swing and a miss, and Pinto with a 1-hop throw to Maurer. One and one. Matt Cook was the catcher warming up. Here's a ball hit to left center field. Arcia comes in to make the catch. Disappointing inning for Tommy Milone, with the Orioles scoring 4 times. A 4-1 lead. The Twins start the home portion of the 2015 campaign against Kansas City, April 13th. All fans will pick up a blue Twins hoodie sweatshirt, courtesy of Northland Ford dealers. You can get out to the home opener. Get your tickets today at twinsbaseball.com. We understand back home a threat of snow today and tomorrow. Twins will open up the season in Detroit. 3 games, then 3 games in Chicago. Trevor Plouffe, Kurt Suzuki, and then we'll wait and see whether it's Pinto who will bat third this inning or not. Plouffe takes up and in, ball 1. Strike on the outside corner.
Yeah, Plouffe hitting 179 so far here in the spring with a double, a couple doubles and a home run. Led the Twins with the 80 runs batted in.
Talked earlier about run scoring. I think what the Twins are hopeful this year is that they'll have at least one player driving in 100 runs, with the capability of Dozier and Santana to each. The Twins hope score 100. Somebody needs to drive them in, whether it's Plouffe or Vargas or Hunter, Arcia. 2-2, and poke foul. You never know how the season's going to unfold, of course, but I think the Twins are imagining a world where their lineup will be in the upper third, in the top 5 in the league in scoring runs. 2-2. And a high fastball gets him 1 down.
And Gonzalez picks up his first strikeout. Went up the ladder with that high fastball, and Trevor swinging through it.
It will be Suzuki, and then it will be Dan ROHLFING. So Josmil Pinto will be taken out of the game after being hit by a bat twice in 2 different Adam Jones at-bats. Suzuki, the designated hitter. Of course, if this were a game that would count, that would be an option, moving Suzuki behind the plate, but then you get the you lose the designated hitter for the balance of the game. Eric Fryer and Chris Herman are with the other squad, so the catching ranks a little thinned out here. Another called strike, 0-2. An all-star season for Suzuki, and over the course of the season signed a 2-year extension with the Twins through next year. In protective mode, a tapper foul.
Well, it's good to see from Suzuki, because when he was with the Nationals in 2012, Oakland, there's Ruffling right there. Will hit for Pinto. 131 ball games last year for Suzuki, hitting to 288.
Foul, and that takes a chunk out of Caleb Joseph. What a bad day to be a catcher.
Any day's a bad day to be a catcher.
Gonzalez gave up 3 hits to the first 3 batters. Now has retired 3 men in a row. And a foul tip. Joseph hangs on, 2 down.
And second strikeout for Gonzalez. Gonzalez, 30 years old. He's gone through some different surgeries. A Tommy John surgery back in 2009, back surgery also that year, and knee surgery in 2008, but signed as a free agent by the Orioles back in 2012. Now having some fun, striking out some Twins here in the second inning.
Dan ROHLFING hitting and very likely taking over the catching spot for the Twins. Longtime Twins minor leaguer. This is his 9th year of professional ball. Spent all of last year in Rochester.
Out of St. Louis, Missouri.
And Gonzalez goes upstairs twice to get 2 swinging strikes.
Yeah, top of the show, we said that Gonzalez wants to work on that split finger, something that he's been struggling with the last couple starts. But everything keys off what he's doing right now. Just rearing back and letting it go. Build up that arm strength by the fastball.
91-mile-per-hour fastball. Two strikes. And ROHLFING takes up high. Another fastball.
Now ROHLFING, 26 years old, signed by the Twins in 2007. .243 minor league hitter with a little bit of pop. 11 home runs in 8 minor league seasons.
Last Saturday, Twins traveled over to Jupiter to play the Cardinals, and ROHLFING got a chance to play some in the game. And Cardinals were also televising the game, so he had a chance to be on TV in his hometown area. 1-2, and a swing and a miss. And Gonzalez strikes out the side, and the Orioles have a 4-1 lead. With a quadricep pull, and now on March 21st he's taken out of a game because Adam Jones, not once but twice in 2 different at-bats, hit Pinto in the helmet with his bat on his follow-through. So now Dan ROHLFING will take over the catching duties, and obviously the hope is Pinto doesn't have any lingering effects from that, but it was apparent with Brian O'Nora and how he was doing a little investigating of his own as to Pinto's status, that he sensed something was not right with Pinto, and he told the Twins dugout to get somebody warmed up and ready, and eventually ROHLFING replaces Pinto behind the plate. Reimold the batter. He'll be followed by Alvarez and Schoop.
Yeah, Milone wanting a cleaner inning this inning.
In the split squad game, Trevor May is pitching a perfect ball going into the 4th inning. He's having a better outing up north than Milone has had so far here today. And now 3-0. 50 pitches for Milone one way or the other. They'd like to get him stretched out into the 70 pitch neighborhood. And a strike called, 3-1.
And you saw the numbers right there, strike to ball ratio, and that's Milone has to be every 2 strikes to every 3 pitches thrown because of his not the velocity. We'll say what Gonzalez did. He just reared back and threw the ball. You fall behind, you need good defense behind you. A nice play by Dozier right there, getting that short hop for the first out.
Another well hit ball, but it's turned into an out, and that'll bring up Dariel Alvarez.
Ball down, inner half of the plate. Reimold not really hustling down the line, is probably as good as he should.
Alvarez grounded out to Plouffe his first time up. Plouffe ranging far to his left to pick off a ground ball. There's strike one. Another chopper, this time backhanded by Santana, showing off his strong arm. 2 down. Be very interested to see how Santana does in his second season. It wasn't a full season last year, but playing his natural position, shortstop. We see just a tremendous arm from Santana. We saw it from the outfield, but it's more suited in the infield.
Yeah, Twins hope that he is the shortstop of the future. Speaking of shortstops, earlier in the ball game, I just ran into Jason Bartlett. Makes his home here in Naples, Florida. He's here with his wife and 2 young children. A couple boys that are about 1.5 years and 3 years old.
A year ago, Bartlett was trying to resurrect his career, and in fact did, ever so briefly with the Twins last year.
He said this is his first game back since, of course, last year when he wore a uniform. He said they did a great job with this ballpark. Beautiful.
Schoop walked and scored his first time up, a foul ball on a 2-0 pitch, 2-1. Well, the shortstop position's really been a sore spot for the Twins over the last few years. They traded some good ones, Bartlett, J.J. Hardy to Baltimore. The Twins are hoping that Santana will be able to anchor that position and give them one less position to be concerned about. You know, that's the sign of a struggling team when you've got a bunch of different positions and you're worried about center field, you're worried about short, you're worried about catcher, right field, what have you. Just to put Santana there and just leave him there in hopes that you can divert your attention elsewhere in attempts to improve the ball club.
Well, you look at second base, you have Dozier, who played some short. You have Plouffe, who played some short, signed as a shortstop, now at third. So you'd like to have that one guy anchor shortstop, and hopefully that's Santana.
Better inning for Milone. A couple of ground balls and a changeup for a swinging strike 3. Have the lead when we were last on the air with you last weekend. The Twins still had Miguel Sano in the big league camp. Byron Buxton spent some time in the big league camp, and those are 2 players responsible for the Twins being very highly ranked in terms of the farm systems. Seeing a little bit of Jose Barrios, and Eddie Rosario has really opened up some eyes here with his play in the outfield. So when we talk about the Twins and their hopes that 2015 will be a better year at the big league level, there's presumably a lot of help coming in the minor leagues.
Well, what you want, that competition. Sano going down, had a great spring here. He's having a great minor league camp, hitting the ball out of every ballpark. And he told Rod Carew, I talked to Rod about him too last night, at the Twins corporate dinner party, and Rod said, Sano said, I'm going down to Double-A. I'm not going to be there very long. His attitude is he wants to come back quickly.
Fouled back, 2 strikes against Aaron Hicks, who again finds himself the fulcrum of so much of the Twins' fortunes this year. No question that Hicks is a key guy for the Twins. So much of what they envision themselves being down the road still revolves around Hicks being the guy, if not in center field when Byron Buxton arrives. But you wonder, too, how many more chances the Twins will give Hicks. This is his 3rd spring training and his 3rd year where he is presumed to be the front runner to be the center fielder.
And he's always had a very good spring training, but then when the season starts, the kind of ball dropped. Last year, 69 ball games, hit only .215. Went through that spell where he gave up switch hitting. I mean, that's how bad it got for Aaron Hicks. He had no confidence whatsoever.
As a right-handed batter, the numbers were not great, but fine. In fact, good in some cases. Hicks last year as a right-handed batter hit .279 with an on-base percentage of .410. Now the Twins would like him to have driven the ball more and more frequently. The ball driven to left. Alvarez is out there. Hicks fell behind 0-2 quickly and ends up flying out to left, 1 away. And that'll bring up Danny Santana.
After the first 3 batters for the Twins, with Santana leading the ball game in the bottom of the first off with a single, a couple more singles. Gonzalez has settled down nicely. Double play ball off the bat of Torrey Hunter.
Santana singled and scored in the first. Twins had a brief 1-0 lead, but then the Orioles scored 4 times in the second against Tommy Milone. Santana's filling out, working out during the offseason, adding about 15 pounds. Now, as you and I can attest, adding 15 pounds during the offseason, that's no problem. It's where you put it on. 1 and 1. And you mentioned a couple of times the nice corporate outing that we had last night. Great job by the Twins putting together with the corporate sponsors. A wonderful, wonderful night at a local restaurant. But you and I ended up showing up wearing the same shirt.
And I tweeted that. I don't know if you saw that
I
or
did.
not.
Yeah.
Mine was blue, yours was white, but the back was the same.
Yeah. We need to.
Must have been the old 2-for-1 deal.
We need to talk over these things in the future. 2 and 2.
Hey, we're both wearing gray shirts today.
That's right, yes. 2 and 2 to Santana with 1 gone in the Twins' 3rd. Off the end of the bat, a chopper. Going to be a tough play for Machado, and Santana beats it out.
That's how quick Santana is right there. He's one of these guys like Rod Carew. He doesn't look like he's running, but boy, does he get down that line quickly. Machado can't play it any better. Quick throw, good relay. The quick pick by Pierce over at first, but Santana beat it out.
Santana last year surprised just about everybody by hitting .319 in just over 400 at bats.
Yeah, 101 ball games. Stole 20 bases, as I mentioned, in the first inning.
That's a number, and that hit Dozier out of the box. He's out. Dozier ran right into the chopper, and Santana will have to return to first base. Not something you see happen very often.
You see Brian right there. Well, ended up hitting his hand and the bat in fair territory. So he was out, and Santana will go back to first base. 2 outs.
Bauer will hit, line to sharp single to center, his first time up. A lot of things were surprising about Danny Santana last year, the batting average, but also the pop. He's a guy that had 41 extra base hits in 405 at bats, a really good percentage of extra base hits to at bats. 1 strike to Mauer.
Joe, a line drive base hit in the first inning. Loaded the bases at that time.
And Now a chopper foul over the reach of Steve Pearce. Twins might be in a running situation, even though Caleb Joseph here the other day threw out a runner at second base and a runner at third base.
Yeah, Joseph known for having an outstanding throwing arm behind the plate.
2 strikes to Mauer.
There's that grip again of the split finger, and if it's not the split finger, he'll change that grip in the glove.
And the theory is that it's much less noticeable to go from that grip to a conventional grip than it is the other way around when you're trying to jam that baseball between your fingers.
Yeah, and it looks like his grip right there, it's not really a jam. He just kind of opens his fingers, where sometimes you'll see what Jack Morris did, just grab, jam it in there. Brian Harvey, I know when he was with the Angels, he used to bring a softball out to the bullpen and spread those fingers out. Bruce Sutter, the grip that they had on that baseball, but it looks like the grip that Gonzalez has, he just kind of spreads his fingers out and then changes the grip if need be.
Bauer lifts it foul over the Twins bullpen. Orioles figure to be a contender again in the American League East. Most people seem to think the Tampa Bay Rays will have a tough time this year with all the change there. The Yankees would need to experience a return to health from a lot of people on their roster to win.
They're getting older and older.
Yes, we all are. 1 and 2. There's a drive to right center field.
There's that power.
Mauer pulling one deep to the gap in right center, and it will score Santana from first base. Mauer will hold up with an RBI double. And what we have told you about in his first at bat, we've seen evidence of something he was incapable of doing. Now, this is a high changeup, and that was a very pullable pitch. But we expect to see Mauer doing that more in 2015 than we saw last year.
Well, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Not pulling the ball down the right field line when they think, okay, pull, but hit the gaps. John Olerud type, Overbay, Lyle Overbay, those type of hitters that could just hit a lot of doubles.
Make the outfield play you more straight up by hitting a few balls to the pull side. Here's Hunter. Breaking ball, swing and a miss. There's such a thing as a critical at bat in a spring training game. Hunter's first inning at bat might have been that for Miguel Gonzalez. Bases loaded, nobody out. And Hunter hit a 2-hopper to short. Orioles got a double play. The Twins got a run, but it helped the inning from completely warping out of control for Gonzalez. 1-1. Four-2 ball game. Each team with 5 hits. To center. And Jones trots back to end the inning. Twins get a couple of hits and a run back in the third. front as we go to the 4th inning. The berm area was there last year for the Twins, one of the popular destinations. It really takes you a little time here when you come to this remodeled facility to walk around and see all the improvements that have been made, both over here on the big league field, but over at the academy, where they've just got a fantastic setup now for the low-level minor leaguers. Orioles have a great facility in Sarasota. And so that's one thing that has really changed over the last several years. The spring training facilities are a far cry from when you
spoiled rotten kids today. No, what a great facility by every major league team now. Those facilities in Arizona are outstanding also.
1-0 to Caleb Joseph. Popped up. This will be a tough play with the sun. ROHLFING stayed with it, never got out of the home plate area, and ROHLFING with the catch one away.
You know, and speaking of Arizona, Dodgers had quite a scare in yesterday's ball game. Clayton Kershaw off a kind of a changeup off bat up the middle, ended up hitting him in the jaw. Chipped a tooth, but he continued to pitch in that ball game.
One of his back teeth, and then there was another frightening moment. Former Twin Sam Fuld hit by a throw as he was running down the line. Fuld, of course, suffered a concussion last year when he was with the Twins, and he had to be taken to the hospital last night. It looks like he's going to be okay. One strike to JANISH. Singled and scored his first time up. And now Milone throwing more strikes as he has been able to recover from that rugged second inning.
And that's what you like to see. I know Neil Allen wants to see that. You have a bad inning, don't let that mushroom into more bad innings. Go out there and keep attacking the strike zone.
Meanwhile, Trevor May pitched 4 scoreless innings up in Port Charlotte. Twins pretty sure of the front 4 in the rotation in no particular order: Hughes, Gibson, Nolasco, and Irvin Santana. And if you believe, as most people do, that a pitching rotation is only as good as its weakest link, well, the Twins should be better on that basis alone. They've got some legitimate candidates to be the 5th starter, and that hasn't always been the case during this 4-year drought. 1 and 2, and now inside to even the count.
What you're looking for is consistency out of the starters. And again, Neil Allen, a new pitching coach, wants these starters to leave camp by at least throwing 100 pitches. Get ready for your opening day debut.
Changeup gets a swinging strikeout, 2 down.
And second strikeout for Milone.
6 in a row set down by Milone, and that'll bring up Manny Machado.
You want these pitchers as starters to build up that arm strength, so they think 7. And one thing Neil Allen does not like, he doesn't, and I admire him, he does not like the pitch count. He doesn't like that 100 pitch count, only because he doesn't want that pitcher to think in the 5th inning, if he's thrown 85 pitches, I only have 1 more inning. Trying to get that mental block out of the head of a lot of these starters.
2 hopper to Plouffe. Easy play and an easy 4th inning for Tommy Milone. 1 rough inning, but 3 pretty good ones. Malone's day is done. Glenn Perkins warming up for what would be his Grapefruit League debut. We'll talk more about that, assuming he gets into the game. Twins trailing here 4-2, and in the Twins' fourth, it'll be Oswaldo Arcia, Trevor Plouffe, and Kurt Suzuki. Arcia with a fly ball to center his first time up. Dick Bramer and Bert Blyleven bringing you Grapefruit League action 2 weeks from today. The Twins will play their final game and head to Detroit to open up the season.
Yeah, 16 more days until opening day. And should I mention that's also my birthday?
I'd be disappointed if you wouldn't.
Okay.
Since it would be the first time outside to Arcia. Tigers made some news. I don't know whether it was news or not, but it caught some people by surprise, I think, that David Price will be their opening day starter and not Justin Verlander. Out in front, swing and a miss, 1-1.
Well, they have Verlander under contract. They're trying to get David Price under contract. He's in his last year. He can be a free agent after the season.
Guess the intrigue will be whether the Tigers will have Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez in their lineup on opening day. Both players playing in a minor league game today. 2-1 to Arcia. Checked his swing, but took a strike.
Good fastball right there by Gonzalez. Little sink down and away. Pitch number 65 on the way toward Arcia.
To left. Alvarez retreats a couple of steps for the first out. Twins will play 3 in Detroit, then 3 in Chicago, and it doesn't look like Chris Sale will be available to the White Sox the first week of the season. Breaking a foot.
Yeah, unloading a van. It's you always hear that. Somebody during the winter months will have an accident like that. Boy, and the White Sox have improved their ball club this year. Of course, Chris Sale, a big part of that starting rotation.
Here's Trevor Plouffe, struck out his first time up against Gonzalez. Fouled back just beneath us. But as we've proven now for 20 years, there are a lot of things that are above our heads, but not much that is beneath us.
Couldn't have said it better.
Does it seem like we've been working together 20 years?
No, I tell you what, I've enjoyed every minute of it.
No, not really every minute you haven't. You don't have to lie. Most of the minutes you've enjoyed.
Most of it.
I haven't enjoyed every minute working with you.
Yes, you have.
I have not.
Oh, how could you
but
say
on balance, the minutes that I've worked with you, that I've enjoyed, far outweigh the ones that I haven't enjoyed working with you.
I think there's a compliment in it somewhere.
Yes, there is.
That was hammered. A high breaking ball. Plouffe pulling it foul. Just a little quick on that slow breaking ball. There we are.
Hi.
Hi.
20 years together. What do you give someone on their 20th anniversary?
I think we'll just shake hands.
Okay. 1 and 2. No, I mean, 25th anniversary is a silver anniversary, and 50th anniversary is a golden anniversary. 20th is probably like zinc or something like that. 2 and 2.
I think it might be diamond. Isn't it diamond? Don't you buy me a diamond?
I don't know. I don't think. I'm better chance you're going to get something made of zinc.
5 or 6 carat diamond.
2 and 2. Foul back. Plouffe has spent a little time this past week over at first base. Paul Molitor trying to be as flexible with his roster as he can, and that's for the pitching staff and the position players as well. He wants to be able to be a little more maneuverable as he embarks on his first year as a manager. 2 and 2. If Santana anchors short, if Plouffe is the regular third baseman, Dozier's at second, Mauer's at first. One of the best players the Twins had last year was Eduardo Escobar. They need to get him into the lineup, and perhaps there will be a situation where Escobar gets third base and Plouffe comes across the diamond and plays first base. Tap foul. Plouffe battling Gonzalez. Orioles putting together a 4-run second inning to give Gonzalez a lead as he pitches to the Twins here in the fourth. And Plouffe really battling Gonzalez.
Well, I like the way that Gonzalez is going about his business, though. He is throwing strikes now at 75 pitches. 10 pitches so far in this at-bat. Good battle.
And another foul. Has to be at least a little exasperating if you're a pitcher out there and you've got 2 strikes on a guy. You were a strikeout pitcher, but must have happened to you many times where a guy just kept getting a piece here and a piece there and wondering what do you have to do to get the guy out.
All you're saying is please hit it between the lines somewhere, hopefully not over the fence.
And now 3-2.
Well, Gonzalez, born in Mexico, grew up in Southern California, originally signed by the Angels in 2004 as a free agent. Played minor league with the Angels, but then signing as a free agent by the Orioles.
Just beneath the Twins radio booth. Eight 2-strike fouls and a 13-pitch at bat for Trevor Plouffe. Caleb Joseph says, look, got any ideas?
Well, you know what? I have to go back to Seattle. I had a long at-bat with Cliff Johnson, a right-handed hitter. I'm going to guess 15, 16 pitches, and I was working on a little slider between starts to try to get it on a lefties. Cliff Johnson, right-handed hitter. I looked in a dugout. Don McMahon was my pitching coach. He said, try the slider. I did. Cliff Johnson hit it about 400 feet. It's the only slider I ever threw to a right-handed hitter.
And another foul ball.
And you know what Mac said to me, Don McMahon, after the inning was over with, and I sat down, he came over and said, let's not throw that slider anymore. And he's the one that told me to throw it.
But he didn't tell you to hang it. He didn't
No,
tell
he
you to
didn't.
throw it right there. Full count as the battle continues. 9 2-strike fouls in this at bat for Trevor Plouffe. Oh, called out on strikes. And Plouffe thought it was ball 4 outside.
Great at bat. It's an out for Plouffe. He took call strike 3, but Gonzalez comes back with that fastball, picks up his 4th strikeout. Plouffe for the second time.
2 down, and that'll bring up Kurt Suzuki. Suzuki went down swinging his first time up. Fell behind quickly 0-2 and never really was able to recover.
Yeah, that was in the second inning when Gonzalez struck out the side.
Left up, ball 1. Driven hard to the left field corner. And hitting the base of the fence, Suzuki will dig for second. And he's got a 2-out double.
Little fastball about belt high. Suzuki opening up quickly. Twins get their 6th hit of the ball game. Their second double.
Here comes Buck Showalter, and he's going to make a pitching change. He's looking down into the right field corner, and Gonzalez over 80 pitches on the day, has thrown his last pitch here today. So we will take a break and continue action in the 4th inning when we come back. McFarland will relieve Miguel Gonzalez with 2 out here in the 4th inning.
Yeah, McFarland, 25 years old. This will be his 3rd season with the Orioles out of that bullpen. Originally signed by the Indians. Came over to Baltimore in 2012 in the Rule 5 draft from the India organization. Fastball not overpowering. His best pitch is a slider, and also throws a changeup.
Made 1 start for the Orioles last year, and like so many members of the Oriole pitching staff, they pitched much better in the second half of the year than the first half of the year. The Orioles were fine in the pitching department in the first half, but they really, almost to a man, stepped it up in the second half, and that's why they won so many games. That's why they won the American League East.
Yeah, Chris Tillman, they have not announced, Buck Showalter has not announced the opening day starter yet, but everybody, I think, thinks that it's going to be Chris Tillman, who had a kind of a breakthrough year last year.
The batter will be Dan ROHLFING, and again, ROHLFING entered the game as the Twins were hitting in the second inning. Osmeal Pinto was hit twice by Adam Jones' bat in his follow-through in 2 different at-bats in the first 2 innings. Pinto left the game. If we get an update on his status, we'll, of course, pass it along to you. But in the meantime, ROHLFING, who was probably going to catch today in the final innings anyway, gets an earlier opportunity than expected, and he takes strike 1. One strike to ROHLFING. And the dirt, nice block by Joseph.
I think over the last couple of years, what we have seen from ROHLFING is kind of what Chris Herman's going through now. Someone that wants to get to the big leagues, but also can play other positions just rather than catch. We've seen ROHLFING in the outfield. We've seen him at first base. And that's where we've seen Chris Herman so far this spring for the Twins, playing so many different positions.
Driven foul.
I think every manager would like to lead with 2 catchers, but if you have that versatile player like a Herman that can play so many different positions, and if need be, also be a catcher.
Well, just look at this situation here. The Twins DH their regular catcher, Suzuki, and in the second inning, the guy who was catching went down. And, you know, you need to have somebody on the roster who can do what ROHLFING is doing here. And it might very well be that Chris Herman will be that guy once the Twins break camp. And call 3rd strike. McFarland strikes out ROHLFING, and the Twins leave Suzuki at second base. 8,000 fans a game here at the CenturyLink Sports Complex. And with Glenn Perkins on the mound, the perfect time to remind you that there will be another chance for fans to combine their love of the Twins and the Gophers this season. It'll be University of Minnesota night, May 1st against the White Sox. And the first 1,000 fans in the field box or home plate view sections will receive a U of M colored maroon and gold TC cap. And you can visit twinsbaseball.com/U of M. And there is the former Gopher, Glenn Perkins, making his Grapefruit League debut.
Yeah, last time he was on that mound, it was against the Gophers in the first game the Twins put together here against the University. He threw one shutout inning at that time.
And he complained of some aggravation in his right side. Didn't know whether it was a strain or a pull or an oblique strain or what it was. Here's a pop-up right field. Hunter coming in. And he makes the catch one away. There was obviously some concern. The Twins bullpen as it is going through a major facelift with guys like Swarzak and Burton. Presley sent down today. Michael Tonkin sent down yesterday. There are going to be a lot of new faces there and some less experienced arms out in the bullpen. The Twins are really relying on Perkins. So on the basis of that, there was some concern when everything wasn't perfect.
You know, when Ricky Horton was with us in the Cardinal game, I thought he asked a great question. What would the Twins bullpen be without Glenn Perkins?
Foul back a strike.
You know, who would be that closer?
Casey Fiend is the name that would first come to mind. The bottom line is Perkins got to shut down for a while. They did some work. I was here a couple mornings where they were working hard with a medicine ball, trying to strengthen the area or figure out what the kink was and get it out of there. And then pretty aggressive workout with a medicine ball, and then Perkins started throwing the baseball, and everything seems fine. He pitched in a minor league game the other day and threw everything fastball, slider, and appears to be ready to go.
Yeah, he said everything's behind him now, so hopefully the kink is gone, but the fastball's there. Good high fastball right there. Picks up a strikeout of Adam Jones.
Jones with a swing and a miss. ROHLFING evades the bat.
And that's Glenn right there at his best. You know, he'll wind up and challenge everybody there. He wants to strike out guys. I remember a sit-down interview with him, and, you know, what are you trying to do? He says, I'm trying to strike out everybody. He comes right at you. Good hard. There's a breaking ball right there. Might have been a changeup, something you get a chance to work on a little bit more in spring training than you do during the regular season.
One strike to Young. High fly to deep left. Arcia back, but DELMON Young has made it a 5-2 game.
I don't know if that was another changeup, but that was a cookie right there, and DELMON Young did not miss it. First home run of the spring for DELMON Young. Started him off, looked like a changeup, and then maybe came back with it again. Again, spring training, you work on that secondary or third pitch, and Perkins left that up. And DELMON making it a 5-2 Orioles lead. Second home run for the Orioles.
We talked earlier about Paul Molitor wanting his roster to be a little more flexible, and that includes the closer. He has discussed with Perkins the idea of perhaps entering late in the game on the road in a tie game in a non-save situation. Perkins said he's open to that. Some pop fouling out of play.
You know, you talk to Glenn Perkins, and yes, he's the closer. 34 games last year, 70 over the last 2 seasons for the Twins that have had frustrating years. But he will credit sometimes the guys that set him up, whether it be the Dunsings or the Fiends now, because those are the guys sometimes come in the 7th, 8th inning and work out of tough situations, and he'll get the save.
Perkins faces 4 men, strikes out a couple, and gives up a home run. Fort Myers blowing out to right field. Home runs have been to left field. And the Orioles have a couple of them and a 5-2 lead. And one of the great things about Twitter is you can wonder weekend on the air about something and get an answer via Twitter. And somebody just tweeted that the 20th anniversary, those who want to exchange gifts, it's China. So
I have to send you the China?
I'll be looking for a nice piece of China to present.
Oh,
to
that China.
Yeah. For our 20th anniversary.
I'd rather send you to China.
Here's Aaron Hicks. He'll lead off the Twins' fifth against McFarland. Hicks, Santana, and Dozier in the Twins' fifth.
Hicks now hitting as a right-handed hitter against T.J. McFarland. Came in last inning in relief of Gonzalez and struck out roughing to end the fourth inning.
You know, we mentioned that Hicks, a completely different hitter with Brian Dunsing warming up in the Twins pen. A completely different hitter from the right side of the plate as opposed to the left. There's a chopper over the mound. We'll see if his speed can beat him, get him a base hit. Nice play by the second baseman, Scope, one away.
Yeah, that was an outstanding play by Scope because he knew who was running. He knew he had to get that big hop and in all one motion get that ball over to first base, and he did a good job of that. Right over the mound, that high chopper over the mound, but Scope, how quickly he got rid of that ball right on the mark over to Pierce for the first out.
One down, and that'll bring up Danny Santana. An outfield hit and an infield hit so far for Santana. It was a disappointing 2014 for the Twins. Can't sugarcoat it or say it any other way. People lost jobs because of the 2014 season. But within the year, Twins fans saw some encouragement with the appearance and early success of guys like Santana and Kenny Vargas, guys who are now penciled in to be regular players for a full season in 2015. Swinging a foul, 1-2. I mentioned during his last at bat, the .319 batting average, a surprise to some because he never hit that high in the minor leagues. But also the extra base power that he provided. Doubles, triples, and home runs. And Santana swings and misses. A lot of strikeouts last year as well. Almost won every 4 at bats, and he goes down swinging here in the fifth.
That was a good fastball straight over the top. Had some little movement down and away, and see Santana kind of just hoping to make contact to keep the bat going. But McFarland comes in, picks up his second strikeout.
Dozier with an infield hit in the first, and then he chopped one in front of the plate and accidentally ran into the baseball. He was retired, 2 unassisted in his third inning at bat. 1-0. And Anthony's a strike. Hits are even at 6, but the Orioles have the only 2 home runs in the game, a 3-run home run and a solo home run. On low, 2-1. I think one of the reasons that the Twins right now are unsure where Dozier will hit, whether it'll be second, whether it'll be third, is they're still puzzled as to what type of hitter Dozier's going to become. Is he going to be a 280, 290 hitter using the whole field? Or is he going to be someone who, as he has in the last 2 years, going to lead his team in home runs? You know, if he's going to be that guy, if he's going to be a home run doubles type of guy, well, then maybe he should bat third, you know, with that extra base pop. But if he's going to be an on-base guy, drawing walks, can steal bases, and hitting the 280, 290 range, well, then maybe second is his best spot.
Yeah, right now, you know, a 241 career hitter starting. This will be his 4th season with the Twins. So I think you're looking more of a guy that might drive in more runs than the higher average. He does draw a walk here to bring Joe Mauer up.
And, of course, maybe the biggest question regarding this Twins lineup for the next several years is what type of numbers will Mauer post? What will he provide the Twins in terms of pop, batting average, on-base percentage, all of that? And the hope is that last year was an aberration. Just an off year. Mauer fouling it back, 1-1.
Well, Joe, a 6-time All-Star, 3-time batting champ back in 2006, 8 and 9, the MVP in the American League in 2009. 3 Gold Gloves, all behind the plate.
1-1. Fouled back. Received word now from Dustin Morse of the Twins media relations staff that Osmeal Pinto is in fact being tested for a possible concussion. There's a protocol now that needs to be followed. And I give Brian O'Nora some credit because wherever Pinto ends up on the scale with the concussion, the whole process started with the umpire engaging the catcher in some conversation and determining that there was hopefully just a minor issue, but an issue nonetheless.
Hey, you know, Pinto maybe was calling him Ed or something like that rather than Brian or
Wishing
Brian.
him a happy St. Patrick's Day 5 days later, whatever. 2-2 to Mauer. Up the middle, that hit the pitcher. McFarland skipping on a couple of hops to JANISH, who makes the play. Pretty well hit ball for the 3rd out. 5 innings complete, and the Orioles lead at 5-2. Hawaiian shirt and a big squirt gun, relieving some fans from the heat and humidity. Everybody works for the weekend. That'd be a great song lyric, wouldn't it? Once it arrives, enjoy it in style with the new Weekend Warrior Pack. You can choose between either Friday, Saturday, or Sundays, as the 13-game ticket package puts you in some of the best seats at Target Field. Visit twinsbaseball.com and become a Weekend Warrior. One lefty to another. Glenn Perkins handing the ball off figuratively to Brian Dunsing.
Yeah, top of the 6th belonging to Brian, making his 5th relief appearance here this spring. 4 2/3 innings, a couple runs allowed, both of them to the Orioles. just about 4 days ago.
Dariel Alvarez leading it off for the Orioles. Foul and out of play. Looking at the Twins bullpen, of course, Perkins a lefty, the closer. Dunsing will fill a similar role as he has in the past. And then, who knows? Caleb Thielbar, maybe. Aaron Thompson, maybe. Depending on how the starting pitching picture crystallizes. Tommy Milone, maybe. You can see where the Twins might easily have 3. And I suppose there's a scenario out there where they might have 4 left-handed relievers. 1-1. Bounce to short. Santana with a routine play, 1 away. But don't you think, Bert, that going into this spring training, that the bullpen was going to be an area of interest, not concern, interest, because Anthony Swarzak, Jared Burton, both gone. But now, with some of the cuts that have been made, the Twins are going to be looking at a almost complete makeover in their bullpen.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. You know, again, it's all keys off the starters. So what you're seeing, I think, is a little more experience coming into that bullpen. Tim Stauffer is one that from San Diego. He could be in that bullpen along with that mix. So, yeah, you know what? Again, if the starters can get into the 7th inning, it's going to take less wear and tear out of that bullpen as the season goes on. How many times have we seen over the last 3-4 years, Dick, where the Twins have lost 90-plus games with that bullpen in the middle of August? They're worn out.
Right.
They're worn out.
Sculpt the batter. It's interesting you say that, you know, that the change is good, because we've spent a lot of time over the last several years talking about the bullpen being a strength of an otherwise team that's been struggling, obviously, but the bullpen was the least of their concerns, and yet it appears to be one of the areas more prominently addressed by Terry Ryan, and now as cuts are being made by the field staff.
I think one thing the Twins have been trying to do over the last couple of years, add some arms in that starting rotation. Of course, Nolasco, Hughes, this year Irvin Santana. Hopefully 4 guys. I'm talking about Gibson, Hughes, Nolasco, Santana. 4 guys will give you 200-plus innings. It's a different game now, but 200-plus innings a season takes less wear and tear out of that bullpen. Baltimore Orioles are able to do that. They have a very good starting rotation.
Weak little pop-up right side should be played by Mauer, and that's out number 2. Now, something, too, that we've seen in evidence here in spring training this year, Paul Molitor regularly asking pitchers, relief pitchers, and we may see it here with Dunsing, if they have a good inning, then go back out and get another out or 2 in the next inning, trying to extend a reliever's outing rather than just, okay, you go an inning, you go an inning, and you go an inning. The idea being, you know, if you can get 5 outs from a relief pitcher, and this is a quick inning, a 1-2-3 6th inning for Dunsing. We'll see if he comes out and tries to get an out or 2 in the 7th. beautiful day in Southwest Florida. Very glad you're with us. Twins and the Orioles in Grapefruit League action. Fourth time they've faced each other this year. They'll face each other one more time, and they won't face each other again until July. With the Twins trailing 5-2, they will bat in the bottom of the sixth, and it'll be the middle of the lineup. Hunter, Arcia, and Plouffe facing T.J. McFarland.
You know, Dick, we ended the last inning, top of the sixth inning, by talking about Brian Dudsing having a quick inning. Will he go back out there? Almost the same thing what McFarland's doing here, because he came in relief of Gonzalez in the fourth inning, got the strikeout of ROHLFING, and then pretty quick fifth inning. And these are the roles that I think hopefully managers are saying, you know what, that middle man, that long man like McFarland or Dudsing, don't give me just 3 outs. Maybe give me 4, 5, 6 outs.
Just think if you could do that, if you could implement that effectively during the regular season. And if it means on any given day, instead of 5 pitchers getting you the necessary outs, 27 outs or whatever, if you can cut it back to 3 or 4, it'll do a lot of things, not the least of which is it would pick up the pace of play in baseball, and that seems to be a point of emphasis.
And you brought up a good point, too. I mean, here McFarland, he hasn't faced Torrey Hunter. Torrey Hunter hasn't faced him in the, you know, some pitchers, you let them face 9 guys. Get them through the lineup.
Whistled into the left field corner, and Hunter will start the 6th inning with an extra base hit. First hit allowed by McFarland. It's a leadoff double in the 6th.
He left a fastball up right there, middle in, and still at 39 years old, Torrey Hunter's very quick, using those hands and lining that ball into the left field corner. Torrey will be pinched run for at second base by number 96.
We'll get it for you. Hold on.
And Wilkin Ramirez.
Wilkin Ramirez, yep. Here's Oswaldo Arcia. Arcia facing a left-hander. Check swing, but a strike. Arcia last year against lefties hit .198. He hit .249 against right-handers. His strikeout rate not any higher as facing left-handers versus right-handers, just high across the board. And in the case of someone like Arcia, you say, well, we're not sure if he's an everyday player, whether he's going to be able to hold his own against lefties. It's not so much the batting average, it's what happens when he does hit the ball, whether it's against righties or lefties. There's run production there, the Twins believe, from Arcia. Even if he never becomes an adept hitter against lefties, he can drive the ball and still be a run producer against lefties if he shows some improvement. Here the count 0-2. And he wastes one over the Twins dugout.
A little upset at himself right there. He got a breaking ball. Really, the first 2 fastballs inside that he fouled off. McFarland kind of hung a breaking ball right there, and he fouled it off.
Arcia last year hit 20 home runs, 3 of them against left-handers. And he takes one right down the middle.
And McFarland picking up his 3rd strikeout. This with a fastball. Belt high. Joseph holding it, the catcher.
Now Plouffe, who has struck out twice, had a marathon battle with Gonzalez before being called out on strikes in the 4th. What, 15 pitch at bat? Poke to right, and a lob to the shortstop JANISH. Pierce with the catch of the semi-hard line drive. 2 down.
Now right off the end of the bat, and you see where JANISH is right there, the shortstop. So Pierce kind of threw him a changeup right there. And Ramirez got back to the bag at second base. Now 2 outs.
That'll bring up Suzuki. He cracked a double into the left field corner his last time up. How do you look at the American League East? The Orioles winning the division last year, and started mentioning the Rays figure to struggle with all the changes they've gone through. The Yankees a little bit older, of course.
Yeah, Boston's improved. They got Sandoval, they got Ramirez, but I think their pitching is still a little suspect. Their starting staff. I like Toronto. They're going to put some runs on the board. But I think still the team to beat are the team that the Twins are playing here this afternoon because of the 5 good starters that they're going to be able to throw out there.
Taking low 2-0. Former Twin Chris Parmelee trying to win a spot on the Oriole roster.
Well, they went out and got Travis Snyder, too, a former Toronto Blue Jay that went over to Pittsburgh. And, you know, they lost Moustakas, who I always felt a Markakis, excuse me. But I think they went out and got Diaza, guy that has some speed.
There's a hard ground ball over the first base bag. Suzuki has a double to left. Now he'll try for a double to right. It's an RBI double, and it's a 5-3 game.
I think that's what we saw from Suzuki last year. Just, you're going to pitch me away, I'm going to take it. It wasn't the prettiest hit, but it hugged that first base line down into that right field corner. Suzuki picking up his 3rd RBI of the spring on his 3rd double of the spring.
ROHLFING at the plate. 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. He was the first man McFarland faced with 2 outs in the 4th. One strike. Again, ROHLFING entered the game early in the 2nd inning, between the top half and the bottom half of the inning, when Josmil Pinto got hit twice from the follow-through of an Adam Jones swing and 2 different at-bats. Got hit in the helmet and was taken out of the game, and later started the concussion protocol. We'll wait and see what the results are of that. ROHLFING bounces out. The Twins get a couple of doubles and a run in the 6th. Orioles leading 5-3. We're getting ready for the 7th inning. Live Minnesota Twins baseball is back this year with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Wilkin Ramirez taking over in right field. And there's Brian Dunsing, who will start the 7th inning, having pitched a quick and clean 1-2-3-6.
Right, we'll show you right there the pitch count. Only 9 pitches to get to 3 outs in the top of the 6th inning.
And it'll be Paul JANISH leading things off for the Orioles. Strike one. If we see this play out the way it's been practiced here in spring training, first the one strike pitch. It all sounds good on paper, but you need the reliever to then sit down in the dugout, come out and get some outs and not leave a mess for the next guy. In this case, it's going to be J.R. Graham. Fly ball right field. Ramirez coming in, making the catch, one away. In other words, the reason many teams have had that, well, we're going to start the new inning with a new pitcher, is you don't want to have the next guy come in with runners at second and third and one out.
Well, in spring training, it's important for what Dunsing did right there. Have a quick inning, go in, sit down, come back out, throw 8 more pitches. Let's go. That helps build that arm up, too, because Brian is going to be asked throughout the season sometimes, maybe when that starter's unable to go 3-4 innings, maybe to go 2 or 3 innings, maybe more. Former starter, he has that capability of doing that.
1-0.
And a left-hander warming up in the Orioles bullpen.
Half swing, that should be strike 2 if they appeal. Yep, it is strike 2. Zach Britton warming up for the Orioles. To center. And a trap out in center field by Hicks. Went down into a slide and caught it right after it touched the ground for a 1-out single.
And Machado coming out of the ball game, a sliding catch right there, a trap.
Everth Cabrera running for Machado. And now Steve Pearce. Foul back, strike. When you've been around as long as Dunsing's been around, your reputation precedes you to the mound. And Dunsing's built a reputation as a strike thrower. It's one of the reasons the 6th inning was so quick. Hitters know that he's going to be in the strike zone. And you just saw Pearce go after the first pitch and foul it back. Another guy who might very well make the team. And I hesitate to say he's a new face, but he would be for the Twins. Mark Hamburger pitched a couple innings today up in Port Charlotte. 3 strikeouts, gave up a home run, but Hamburger.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Hamburger's been one of the great stories in camp this year. Property of the Twins at one point. Ground ball to second.
There we go. Turn it.
Low throw, and Mauer can't handle. A poor throw by Santana. Like Santana almost tried to submarine it, and he threw a sinker.
Yeah, kind of. I think he got just. Watch Santana right here. Brian Dozier tries to get him a good feed, but he kind of gets turned around. And then not really had something on that throw. A ball that Joe probably should have caught right there, because that ball landed so far ahead of him.
Fielder's choice, no error on the play, but clearly a double play that should have been turned.
Well, Pearce is the guy that had the big blow of the ball game so far, and that's that 3-run home run off of Milone in the 2nd inning.
Glenn Davis is running now for Steve Pearce at first. So all it means for Dunsing is he'll face a 7th batter, and he hopes that'll be the end of his day. It's Adam Jones. Walk, single, and a strikeout. And over for a strike. Fastball popped up right side. Dozier tracking it, fighting the sun and staying with it, making the catch. And Dunsing completes a couple of effective innings in the 6th and 7th.
Yeah, good job by Dunsing.
For the Baltimore Orioles to pitch to the Twins in the 7th inning.
Yeah, Bretton Hart throwing lefty, the closer for the Orioles last year. Did a very good job out of that bullpen. This will be starting his 5th season with the Orioles, signed by the Orioles back in 2006. Is he making his 5th appearance?
4th in the American League with 37 saves. And he was another one of those guys that did much better in the second half. At one point had a string of 18 straight save opportunities in the heat of the pennant race from the All-Star break into September. Aaron Hicks will get another chance from the right side. He's hit a fly ball to left and a ground ball to second so far as a switch hitter. Strike one.
And he's one of those guys that came up to the big leagues. Basically, you're going to be a starter. It didn't really pan out for him. They put him in the bullpen. Now he's in that closer role.
Swing and a miss. Plenty of fastball, mid-90s fastball. But like his predecessor as an Oriole closer, Jim Johnson, a great ground ball, sinker ball pitcher. Britton thrives on getting the ball hit into the ground when contact is made. And if you're going to be pitching at Camden Yards, that's a pretty good way to go about your business.
You better.
One and two to Hicks. Driven to right. Tagged pretty well. Drifting back is the right fielder. It's not Delmon Young out there anymore. We'll find out who that is. Made a routine catch, one away.
Yeah, this time of the game, just show us your number.
I'm going to guess it's Mike Yastrzemski out there. That's just my guess. One down. Danny Santana, the batter. Santana, a couple of hits and a strikeout. He takes strike one. Strike two.
I see Chris Parmalee at first base now, so there are some defensive replacements out there.
On the outside corner, Britton really carves up Santana, who took 3 strikes. 2 down.
Good breaking ball right there. Clips the outer half of the plate. Santana can't believe it. But it's strike 3. Santana strikes out for the second time in a ball game. 8 strikeouts for the Orioles against the Twins so far here this afternoon.
Brian Dozier swings and misses. The Twins closer, Glenn Perkins, pitched the 5th inning, and now Britton brought in to pitch to the Twins here in the 7th. Teams typically don't have their closers actually try to simulate a save situation in spring training games.
Good hard slider there. Britton at 6'3", about 200. Does a good job of hiding that ball. Short, compact delivery.
Dozier lucky to make contact. You never know where you're going to find an effective closer. Up to right center field and carrying. And the same guy who made the catch on Aaron Hicks' fly ball made the catch on Brian Dozier.
Show us your number.
Season ticket holder, and you'll get exciting opportunities and exclusive access. Plenty of packages to choose from, including the new Weekend Warrior Pack. Visit twinsbaseball.com and find the season ticket plan that works for you. The mystery man for the Orioles was right fielder Glenn Davis. And Mike Yastrzemski is in left for the Orioles. And the pitcher here in the 8th inning is J.R. Graham.
Yeah, J.R. Graham, new to the Twins organization, a Rule 5 draft out of the Braves organization. 25-year-old hard-throwing right-hander. Fastball in the low 90s, mid-90s, hard slider, and a changeup.
And he will face Mike Yastrzemski, the grandson of the Hall of Famer.
Tough shoes to fill.
Up and away, ball 1. Orioles like him. They think he's a pretty well-rounded ball player. Looking for his first hit this spring. Swing and a miss. Twins looking for some power arms out of the bullpen, and Graham, because he's a Rule 5 pickup, has to be kept on the Major League roster. Bouncer to short, backhanded by Santana. And he fires across to Mauer to retire Yastrzemski.
Again, Santana showing off that strong arm, sets and throws a P over to Joe Mauer.
Now 5 2/3 innings for Graham. 5 hits allowed, no runs, 2 walks. That came in his first outing when he was admittedly a little nervous. But somewhat surprisingly for a power arm, just 2 strikeouts so far. High fly left center field. And out there making the catch is Aaron Hicks, out number 2.
Well, Graham last year at Double-A, 1 win, 5 losses. He made 19 starts in 27 appearances. 50 strikeouts in 71 1/3 innings.
And yesterday the Twins optioned Michael Tonkin, who was, I think a lot of people imagined he would find a spot in the revamped bullpen this year. Today, Ryan Presley sent down. So whatever doors Twins thought might be open for Graham at the start of spring training, well, now there's a few more avenues for him to make this team.
Well, I remember Ryan Presley was a Rule 5 pickup, and he stayed with the Twins, and he did well. Last year he went down. I thought maybe they're going to start him. He ended up in the bullpen. Just hasn't gotten better as far as attacking the strike zone. We saw him pitch here the other day. Too many curveballs and did not trust his fastball. Graham looks like a young man that does trust his fastball, attacks the strike zone. 26 walks in 72 innings last year at Double-A.
He's got the Burt Blyleven Memorial stirrups on.
Yep.
Swing and a miss.
There's a good breaking ball there.
Could you have a better inning than the 8th inning for J.R. Graham? A couple of quick outs and a strikeout. The Orioles go down 1-2-3. And get a little messy this time of the ball game and a spring training game. A lot of substitutions. I mentioned there's 2 weeks left for the teams before they fly to their destination to start the season. And by next week you'll see more, dare I say, complete games by position players who play all the way through a game. Once the season starts, that will be expected of players.
Right.
Ryan Webb pitching now for the Orioles.
Yeah, Webb in his second season out of the bullpen for the Orioles. Had a good first year last year. Has some major league experience before the Orioles with the Padres and the Marlins. 6'6", about 245. 29-year-old right-hander.
Mauer with his 4th at bat. He's hit the ball hard 3 times. Single up the middle. Double driving in a run in the 3rd to right center field. Made it all the way to the wall. Then he hit a hard smash that appeared to hit the pitcher McFarland and then skip on a couple of hops to JANISH, who threw him out to end the inning. Missing inside, ball 1. Mauer with a single up the middle, another ground ball hit right over the pitching rubber. Then the double to right center field, and I think what Tom Bernansky will look to see as he's continued to work with Mauer, that pitch right there, a fastball down and in, and to see if Joe can pull it with authority. again, it's just spring training, but with the drills they've been working on, the hitting coach is encouraged that Joe will be able to do that. Fourth ball stung by Mauer. This one to left center field, a single leading off the eighth.
Well, we talked about it in his first at-bat. Joe, yeah, maybe the home runs will come, only 4 last year, but that gap-type hitter right there. Got a base hit up the middle his first time that landed in front of Jones, and then the double to right center. And then here in his fourth at-bat as he comes out of the ballgame, good day at the plate for Joe Mauer, picking up 3 hits and knocking in a run.
Well, Mauer's aboard. Jose Martinez running for him. And Wilkin Ramirez hitting in what was Hunter's spot. Towering pop-up, short left field. Janish out, Yastrzemski in. And it's Yastrzemski with the catch, 1 away. One down, and that'll bring up Arcia. Arcia, a couple of outfield flies and a strikeout. Rudy Hernandez, the first base coach for the Twins, one of the new faces on the coaching staff. And the Twins splitting the squads today to play 2 games. Paul Molitor and some of the other regular coaches up in Port Charlotte. Mike Quade, who is the third base coach with Joe Vavra managing this game in Paul Molitor's absence. Mike Quade will be the Rochester manager. First year in the Twins organization, former Cub manager.
Yeah, throughout the season, we'll see Butch Davis over at first base. Rudy Hernandez, more the assistant hitting coach to Tom Bernansky. There's Quade, and there's Hernandez.
1-1 to Arcia. Gene Glenn will be the third base coach for the Twins. Here's a roller to third. And an around the horn double play ends the 8th inning.
Throughout a telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins.
Beautiful day here in Fort Myers. The Orioles have a 2-run lead, and we'll get the second inning of work from J.R. Graham.
Yeah, good first inning for Graham. 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout.
Graham, if he makes the team, might be an example of how thorough scouting is. And in this case, a Rule 5 pickup from AA. Sharply hit center field, a base hit for Schoop to start the 9th inning. He'll round first and hold up there. But one of the reasons the Twins were intrigued about taking a look at Graham, there's a ball left up, and it was plastered pretty good.
Right down the heart of the plate.
Last year, Graham pitched 71 in the 3rd innings at AA. And he gave up just 2 home runs, and they both came in the same game. Now, those are things you look for. Now, minor league, major league, we know there's a big difference. But if you can keep the ball in the ballpark in the minor leagues, there's a decent chance you might be able to do that in the big leagues. And Graham was able to do that last year. He's got, if he makes the Twins roster, he's got a pretty spacious home ballpark at Target Field for a pitcher.
Yeah, and it just wasn't last year alone, Dick. It's 4 minor league seasons, a total of 10 home runs in 312 innings.
So those are things that intrigue you when you do a scouting report on a potential Rule 5 pickup. And in Graham's case, the Twins picked him up. He's, auditioning for a job, and here he is as we get into the back end of March. And he's outlasted some people considered to be front runners for a relief role because he's gotten people out and hasn't given up a run yet. 2-1 to Steve Clevenger, the batter. Hack foul to the screen.
Clevenger, a catcher in his 3rd season with the Orioles, also caught for the Cubs in 2011 to 13. More of a defensive type catcher. Not much offense. And you see Graham right there putting that split finger into the grip of those 2 fingers.
Fouled away. Primarily a starter in the minor leagues. And there might be a time down the road where he would be considered a major league starter. But if he makes the team this year for the Twins, it'll be as a relief. Chop foul. We haven't been accustomed to change in Twins territory, but we will have plenty of it with a new manager, new coaches, new players, and it sure looks like the bullpen's going to have a completely, not a completely, but a major overhaul and a new look with the potential of guys like Graham and Hamburger.
Well, I think what Molly wants, he wants to carry 12 pitchers. He doesn't want to get to that point during the season that he has to take one of his everyday players or a move off the bench.
Right.
Full count now. So many times the Twins had to carry 13 pitchers, which handcuffs your manager in late inning moves. So you figure 5 starters, 7 relievers. You have Perkins, Dunsing, and Fiend, and then you might have 3-4 different new faces out there.
A situation that could crumble here for Graham. Leadoff single, now 3-2 to the batter. Runner goes on the outside corner. ROHLFING's throw skipped by Santana into center field. Not a good throw, but not a good job by Santana. No. He's got to keep that ball in the infield.
Yeah, he's got to try to get in front of that throw right there. ROHLFING's throw was a little on the short side, but Santana went at it half-heartedly. Schoop looking in, sliding in feet first, and then the ball actually get through Santana, hit the second base bag, bounced up into center field.
So
that's where you want your middle infielder. Just knock it down.
Infield will come in now with 1 out.
Schoop will get a stolen base, and in the air by the catcher, getting over to third.
Chris Parmalee, the batter. Down and in, ball 1. Parmalee signing a minor league deal with the Orioles. was former #1 draft pick of the Twins. Become a utility player. Saw most of his time in the outfield. Also some time at first base, his natural position. He's only played first base in the Oriole camp this year. He hasn't been in the outfield at all.
4 seasons with the Twins, 273 games he was in as a Minnesota Twin. Hit .249, 24 home runs. He's always hit well in the minor leagues, a lot of time in the minor leagues. 9 seasons, a career .275 hitter.
And Graham tries to paint the inside corner. He misses. 2-1. Chopped foul near the Oriole dugout.
I think what we're seeing, what you talked about, Dick, here you have Santana still at short, Dozier at second, Plouffe at third, Hicks still in center. Mauer just coming out of the ball game last inning, so they are playing a little bit longer.
2-2 to Parmalee. Foul tip. ROHLFING hangs on. And Parmalee looks back at his right hand like he may have swung awkwardly and hurt himself.
Well, J.R. Graham getting some brownie points right there. Hey, man on third, 1 out. You need to strike out. He is able to do that. Looked like on the split finger. That kept running away from Parmalee. Now you get that big strikeout. Now don't lat down. That you've got to think right now. 2 outs. I already got that big out. Don't make it. Get this guy out right here. Have a successful inning.
Everett Cabrera, the batter. And he shaves the inside corner. Strike 1.
Cabrera signing as a free agent out of the San Diego Padre organization.
Down and away.
Cabrera, an all-star 2 years ago for the Padres, 2013.
Missing that inside corner again. You have to like the way he's working. Inside, outside, back, inside.
And that fastball had a little giddy up, clocked here at 95.
Just missed the inside edge. 2-1. And glove by Plouffe to end the inning.
How high can you jump?
A soft line drive. Plouffe snags it. And J.R. Graham with a couple of scoreless innings, furthering his chances of heading north. really good outing for J.R. Graham.
Yeah, he worked out of it. Thanks to the defense behind him. He got the big strikeout for the second out and then needed his defense as Plouffe leaped high to get that out.
You know, you're trying to win a job. It's nice to have those 1, 2, 3 innings, but maybe more significant is, okay, that inning, base hit, there's a stolen base and a throwing error. A little situation he had to deal with, and he contended with it rather well.
And he dealt with it very nicely. So 2 very good innings for J.R. Graham.
See the Orioles bringing in Logan Verrett.
Yeah, Verrett relies on a good sinking fastball. No major league experience. Very good slider. He'll mix in a curveball and a changeup. 24-year-old.
Trevor Plouffe will lead off the ninth. Twins down by a couple of runs. Twins lost their split squad game up in Port Charlotte today, 4-2 on a walk-off home run. We'll see if the home crowd here can be treated to any heroics in the ninth. One pitch for the first out. One gone. That'll bring up Tony Thomas.
A high pitch right there, and Trevor off the end of the bat hits it right back to Verrett for the easy out.
Thomas in his second year in the Twins organization, added to the roster to fill out the split squad rosters. Hit .241 last year at AA as an infielder. And he takes strike one. Dozen home runs for Thomas. Split his time between second and short. Also played some in the outfield and third base. High chopper over the mound.
Go up there, get the middle. Beat it out. Yes.
And Thomas gets a base hit with one out in the ninth.
He will be on the phone tonight. High chopper over the mound. And Scope out of the ball game. It's a new second baseman, but Thomas beats it out.
Dan ROHLFING 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts and a bouncer to second. ROHLFING entered the game in the bottom of the second, with Josmil Pinto taken out of the game, squirted to the right side. And ROHLFING retired for out number 2. We've just got an update on Pinto, not regarding his situation, but what caused his departure from the game. We saw 2 times that he was hit by Adam Jones' bat. They're saying now there was a 3rd time in 2 at-bats that Jones only, on his follow-through, hit Pinto in the helmet with his bat. Here's Aaron Hicks, 0 for 3, a couple of outfield flies and a ground ball to second. Strike one on the outside corner. Twins with the loss up in Port Charlotte are 7-8-2 in spring training games. Orioles are 7-12 right now. Down and away. If Hicks should prolong the game, Santana would have an at-bat here in the ninth. Two and one.
These at-bats still very important to a guy like Hicks. Even though the Twins are down a couple runs, you don't want to see him just lackadaisically have an at-bat. You want him to see him hopefully try to get a base hit right here.
Chop to the left side. And that wraps it up. The Orioles beat the Twins. A 4-run second inning, leading them to a 5-3 win. We'll be back with more from Fort Myers in a moment.